I am Don Tess, better known as the Dawn of Beer.
And I'm Em Sauter, better known as Pints and Panels.
Welcome to episode 69 of the All About Beer podcast. Every 2 weeks, we talk with leading experts and take a deep dive into one topic in beer. This week on the show, we're going to talk about non-alcoholic stout. But first, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you're feeling generous, please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. Em, have you had Guinness Zero?
I have, and it is, I mean, I know we're going to talk to them, but it is one of my, and I'm really excited about it because it is actually one of my favorite non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to sound like I'm shilling for one particular beer here,
Fair,
but it
yeah, that's
really
true.
is very, in terms of A, being flavorful, and
Yeah,
B, being similar to the full alc version. I
it,
think it is one of, if not the best non-alc beers on those two um,
agreed. And
measures.
that's
Yeah.
why I'm very excited to talk to our guests about how it, what they can share, how it's made, the innovation of it. I'm
And
excited.
spoiler alert, they actually share more than I thought they would. So I really loved this episode.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, but first, if you would like to help support the All About Beer podcast, please reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of supporting the show, here is a word from our sponsors.
This program is brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, where trailblazing runs in the family. From crafting a movement with their iconic pale ale to taking the IPA haze craze nationwide with Hazy Little Thing, it's an adventurous spirit you can taste in every sip. Find your next favorite beer wherever fine beverages are sold. With new brews for every season, there's always something to discover. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Still family-owned, operated, and argued over.
Ariana, Callista, Tradition, Mule Melon, Select. RahrBSG sources these German hop varieties and more directly from German growers through their cooperative organization, HVG. Founded in 1953, HVG has grown to be one of the most important hop suppliers worldwide. In addition to supplying a large part of the German hop crop to brewers worldwide, HVG also processes hops into pellets, extract, and other hop products. Where would beer be without HVG? For the best selection, contact RahrBSG.
Steve Gilsonen is the global head of quality for Guinness, currently leading the Guinness Future Serve program and signing off all new Guinness innovations. With over 2 decades of experience in the industry, he is a qualified master brewer and beer sommelier who has spent his last 5 years as master brewer at St. James Gate Brewery in Ireland. Before that, he was working in operations and quality, based in different parts of the world, including Trinidad, Ghana, and Singapore, to ensure consistent quality and taste in all markets. Guinness National Ambassador Ryan Wagner joined the Guinness team in July of 2017, helping to launch the Open Gate Brewery in Baltimore. As National Ambassador, Ryan works to support Guinness's beer quality programs across the country while also executing training and education programming, assisting with the marketing of their Open Gate breweries, and serving as the voice of Guinness for media, industry, and internal brand opportunities. His background is unique, starting with a career as a stage actor, including touring North America in the West End version of The Wizard of Oz, working as a host and content creator for Major League Baseball's Fan Cave, and serving as the public address announcer for his hometown Baltimore Orioles at Oriole Park at Camden Yards from 2012 to 2021. He currently lives in Chicago, helping to build the recently opened Open Gate Brewery in Chicago's West Loop neighborhood. Welcome to the show, Stephen Ryan.
Thanks
Thank
very
you very
much.
much for having me.
A lot of people think that Guinness Zero is the best or at least closest to the alcoholic version of
And
the
it
beer.
is. Sorry to interrupt.
So
It is.
Em is one of your fans.
A big fan.
So
Thank you.
everybody wants to know, how do you do it? How do you make Guinness Zero?
Okay, well, I can't reveal too many secrets, but
Yeah.
um, I guess well, one, it took us 4 years to develop it. So has the non-alcoholic industry and category and market was developing, Guinness set on a journey to produce a Guinness with no alcohol in it. But we were very clear on everything that we wanted. So Guinness, like everyone knows, Guinness has specific cues that the trademark surgeons settle and everything. Everything that we did with Zero had to be as people would expect with Guinness. That was really important. That goes from the flavor to the settle to the surge, how it's presented and everything. So we started, and 4 years later we launched Guinness Zero. So how do we do it? We tested all the different technology out there, but how we do it is, and why does it taste so good and why does it taste so much like Guinness, is we brew Guinness. So if you look at it, the technology that's out there, some some technology you never put the alcohol in the first place. Some you use heat treatment ways to take it out. What we do at Guinness is we brew Guinness. So if you imagine, our brew house doesn't have like, this is our Guinness Zero brew. We brew Guinness. We brew it.
Mm.
Same hops, same roast, same water, same yeast, really important, same fermentation process, maturation. We filter it, and then we get to what we call the bright beer tank stage at the end of the process, where essentially you could decide that Guinness is either going to go to keg as Guinness draft, as the world knows all around the world, or we take the alcohol out and we change it to Guinness Zero. And that's
Mm.
essentially what we do. So we use a cold filtration method, is about as much as I'll go into, but it's cold filtered, so we don't heat it. We cold filter the alcohol back out, and then we carefully blend it down to get it to the right level of color, bitterness, and everything that Guinness has. So when you see a Guinness Zero, it essentially has everything you expect in a Guinness, just without the alcohol. And the roast is the same roast, it's the same color, it's the same bitterness, as I said, it's the same everything. It just doesn't have alcohol in it. So what people see, and like Ryan will know better in the US, but from my travels around the world and my job, everyone views Guinness by how it looks. Everyone views Guinness by how it's presented to you. And Guinness Zero is no different. So we wanted Guinness Zero to look, present, and do everything in the same way that Guinness does, just without the alcohol. So when people see it, like if when people see Guinness Zero, it's like, it's hard. It's, if you were to look at it, you would say no idea whether that's a zero or a draft, or a draft with alcohol in it, because it looks the same. And then when you taste it, it tastes almost identical.
Yeah.
What year did Guinness start trying to make NA?
So, I mean, we launched in 2021, four and a bit years before that. So it was about 2016, 2017, we started the journey
Okay. Yeah,
to develop a zero alcohol version. So it took just over 4 years from starting to look at the technology out there that could do it to launching.
And why did Guinness feel like they needed an NA product?
Well, I think like the occasions, and Ryan can speak to the US specifically, on this in a US context, but like occasions are changing, people's drinking habits are changing. Non-alcoholic beer is a really important category in the overall market now, and it's from everything that we do, and Diageo lead a lot of responsible drinking and moderation forums and discussions, and we have Drink Aware, that producing a non-alcoholic variant of Guinness was always on the cards. It was finding the right technology to be able to do it in the right way and maintain what my job title is maintain the quality. But
Yeah.
it was always going to be, it was always going to be a journey that Guinness would embark on, as the market, the demand, and the demand is only growing for zero alcohol beers. Like it took us 4 years to develop it, and there were other brewers launching their zero alcs. But even if you look at where zero alc has gone, even in the 4 years or since we've launched it, it's growing and growing. Like we have, it's well documented in the media, we've expanded the capacity of our zero plant a number of times since we launched in 2021.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective here in the US, we talk a lot about Guinness being a brewery for everybody, finding ways to connect across occasions, across demographics, making sure that when people think about Guinness, they think about a beer for them. And I think it was a natural progression that as non-alc grew as a segment, as the popularity of non-alc grew, And as the occasions people were bringing non-alc beers to became more prevalent, we needed to be a part of that conversation. And I think, to Steve's point, the fact that we took the time, made sure that the non-alc Guinness draft that we released was as close as possible to Guinness Draft Stout. It's something that, as I've been out in the world sampling Guinness Zero, letting people know that it's around, getting their feedback, what we hear back is, "Hey man, this is great. This is the Guinness for any occasion. This is the one that I can bring no matter what's going on." So it was important to meet people where they are. And right now, more and more people are finding their way to whether it's a sober lifestyle or they're mixing in non-alc beers during a session at the pub. It's been fun to watch people interact with the beer and discover it.
Yeah. And
I really like it because there's an illusion of drinking. That's what NA is. So, because like Don and I've been to Oktoberfest before, and I've ordered the NA beer, and you have the big moss, and it looks like you have a beer, but it's NA. Same thing with if I was at St. Patrick's Day and I was at the pub and I have a Guinness Zero, I still have a Guinness.
Yeah,
And I
and I
love
think
I love that.
yeah, and I think it's becoming like what I see in Ireland. It's more and more socially acceptable now. Like people before would say, "Oh, I don't want people to know I'm not drinking," or something like that. Those days are gone. People are choosing to moderate. People are choosing not to drink, and that is now just so acceptable, so accepted in society. Where
yeah,
if you go back 10 years, people will be questioning, "Oh, you're not drinking. Why?" So I think that's really, but I think what you say, Em, was absolutely right. People standing there holding a pint glass in their hand, people feeling like they're part. You feel like you're part of the occasion. You're not drinking a soft drink, for example, so you're doing something different. A thing that's really important in culture in Ireland and around the world is the round. And so who buys the next round of drinks? And a lot of the time, if you were drinking a soft drink, you would be left out because maybe you're drinking it quicker than others, or you don't form part of the group that are out together socializing, whether you're consuming alcohol or not. Some of the feedback I've got with Guinness Zero is, yeah, I'm part of the round. I'm standing here and I'm drinking a Guinness. It doesn't matter if there's alcohol in it or not. I'm drinking a Guinness.
right. And I can get the next round and yeah, and all that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm part of the group. I'm part
yeah,
of the group.
yeah,
I'm not separate. I've been that person where for whatever reason I was out and I was drinking soft drinks, and just mentally you don't feel part of the occasion in the same way. Where when you're standing there and you're holding a Guinness, you're holding a pint glass, you're holding a non-alcoholic beer in a branded glass, whether it's Guinness or any other, you feel part of the occasion. And I
yeah,
think so. Then, as that category has grown, what's been really really important is then the quality of the non-alc beers that are out there, and they are improving. And we are. As you can tell from both myself and Ryan, we are so proud of Guinness Zero and the beer that our brewers have produced. We've played a very a small role in it, but our team of scientists and brewers back at St. James's Gate, who I worked closely with during the time we were developing it, tasting it with them and working with them, but they have produced an exceptional zero alc beer from Guinness.
yeah. So on that, and maybe this is a question for Ryan. Obviously, Guinness is, very often associated with St. Patty's Day, which was just a few weeks ago. Are you seeing people choosing Guinness Zero even on what otherwise people might consider a big drinking day?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think it's across all occasions. And it was fun the last couple of years, especially at our stateside breweries. So we have two breweries, one in Baltimore, one in Chicago. So these are the homes of Guinness in the US. And so we hear a lot, why do you carry Guinness Zero? People coming to the brewery are obviously looking for the quote you hear all the time is the real thing, as if Guinness Zero is somehow an imaginary beer. But it's been really inspiring, frankly, to see people come to the brewery, come to a tap room, a place that historically and traditionally is where alc beers are served, and seeing them discovering not just Guinness Zero, but also non-alcoholic beer cocktails that we're offering. I mean, this is a movement, right? It used to be a six pack on a dusty shelf in the bottom corner of the store. That was the non-alc beer, and if you were specifically looking for it, someone could show you where it is. These beers are now up front and central, right next to Guinness Draft Stout. along, on posters, on POS. In the brewery, it's front and center. So yeah, I mean, even on a day like St. Patrick's Day, which obviously in the US is traditionally one of the biggest drinking holidays on the calendar, Guinness Zero is every bit a part of that conversation that Guinness Draft Stout is.
Yeah.
Is the technology the same in the can, the same widget,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
Guinness Zero? And I know that it's difficult to do NA on draft, but are you guys working on, if you can answer
We
that?
we are doing it. So we have draft in 2000 bars in
Oh,
Ireland.
wow. Oh my.
So we have been working on it now for about 2 years. It does, and it is challenging. We're still, like, when I say we're in 2000 bars, in my head, we're still in test. We're still testing it. We're still we're s-
It,
we're still learn we're
it is
still
only
learning.
1% of bars in Ireland, to be fair.
Yeah, we are still learning. We're in 5 bars in London at the moment as well on draft. And hopefully over the next few years we'll see it in more countries as well on draft. It takes a lot of management, but it's really important for us because when we launched in the widget can, as is what's available in the US, we have another system called micro draft, which is a kind of a portable draft system that uses a sealed can, like a tiny little keg, to pour. So you can set it up like a draft system, but it's a single serve. So we have that in a lot of bars in UK and Ireland as well. But consumers wanted to see it on draft. Like, if you ask a consumer how would they expect Guinness Zero to be served, 70% came back immediately and said keg. So we started testing it about 2 years ago. It requires a huge amount of management of line cleaning and quality and temperature control and everything else. All the stuff that we work on Guinness, but in a much more intense program of monitoring on Zero, what we do. So when I say we're in 2000 bars, we are still very much in test and looking at what other technology is out there to help with draft. And the reason we do it is because, for the same reason I described at the start of this session, is we want to give consumers what they expect when it comes to Guinness. The other thing we talk about as well in terms of Guinness is Diageo is full of acronyms. The one that I love is OGCD, only Guinness could do. So if you look at some of the innovation we've done, like what we do on innovation on Guinness is what nobody else can do. So we are known for draft. We were known for cracking nitro beer in the late 1950s and launching it in 1960. When we launched nitro beer, we are probably one of the first big brewers to scale Zero on keg in Ireland. And it is because it is what our consumers expect of Guinness. But again, it's all focuses on quality. Can we deliver? Can we deliver that level of quality all the time? Can we deliver what our consumers expect of Guinness all the time? So yeah, it is. It has been as challenging a journey. Correct. Like, how I described it actually to one of our senior VPs was cracking keg. It took us 4 years to develop Guinness Zero. It's taken us another two to develop the keg system. So it's taken us about 50% of the time to manage keg as it was to develop Guinness Zero in the first place. That's how much focus we put on quality to make sure what we do is right. But who knows? We may get keg in different parts of the world. Ryan has had it. I set it up with them in Chicago. We had Guinness Zero on keg in Chicago for a sales conference last summer, Ryan, wasn't it? Or the summer before last. So we have done it in the States.
It's it's amazing to see it on tap. I've been lucky enough to do a bit of a Guinness Zero pub crawl, shall we say, with Steve over in Dublin, which was it was incredibly gratifying to see the beer being poured on tap, being enjoyed by so many people. But I think one of the huge things about seeing it on draft is Guinness is as unique as it gets when it comes to the theater of pouring a beer. That iconic two-part serve, the weight, the surge and settle, the appearance of the beer, all of that is as important as any ingredient is to enjoying the beer, to having that full experiential moment with Guinness, and to see it on tap, to see that same exact serve. The cans of Guinness Zero are brilliant. They're so good. It is exactly the same beer as Steve pointed out. But to see it served on tap, man, it is something special because you get that full experience that you've come to expect from Guinness Draft.
What is the like what what makes it so hard to do Guinness Zero on draft? Is the gas level the same? I'm wondering because I guess Guinness Zero must have slightly less body, and then do you change the gas level because of that, or
No, it's not the gas. It's the fact one of the natural preservatives in any beer is alcohol.
yes,
So why do we? So for the same reason, we don't need to worry about the shelf life of a bottle of spirits because the alcohol at that level takes care of any aging. With beer, unfortunately, with the lower ABV level, it doesn't provide as much protection, but it still does. But if you have one of the things we must focus on in our beer lines is keeping our so when we talk about quality of Guinness draft, without getting into all the technical stuff, one of the key things is you must have clean beer lines. You must have clean beer lines and you must have cold beer lines. When you take the alcohol out of the beer and you put it down a beer line, you have removed you've removed that preservative essentially that
right,
protects against things like yeast growth in the beer lines. And that happens in all beer lines, in all bars everywhere in the world, and that's why we must clean our beer lines. But removing the alcohol makes that more challenging. So what we've done in Ireland, for example, if you go talk to any bartender that does it, we've doubled the frequency of our line cleaning. Um, that's in just as we have learned how this process works. Just to make sure that we are keeping our lines clean all the time. We focus on temperature really, really critically. The temperature of the kegs are stored at the temperature of the line at every part. No hot spots allowed. And even really interesting things that we saw, like if you imagine the beer lines coming out of a cold room are wrapped in insulation and then are cable tied up onto the roof to get them across to the bar, or cable tied under the ground. Those cable ties squeeze. And we saw in one bar actually, we saw
oh,
a hot spot where the cable ties were was actually the line was heating up at that point. So when you remove the alcohol, you remove a layer of protection um, that you need to be really careful of. And what happens then is if you do get dirty beer lines, the beer pours all gassy. So your non-alcoholic beer or any beer, like it doesn't really like will tell you pretty quickly if you have a problem in your beer lines because you get really gassy beer coming out the spout.
right. So it sounds like actually this improvements that you're making to have Guinness Zero on draft actually will improve all of your draft lines as well. It's just good
Well, yeah,
knowledge. Yeah,
it's good. Well, it's good practice. It's
yeah,
applying. It's applying good practice, and it's applying a level of knowledge around how zero alcohol beers can behave in beer lines to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because at the end of the day, our consumers only expect one thing. They expect Guinness to
right.
look, surge, settle, look exactly the same as it always does. And if you like, you only have to spend a couple of minutes on social media and look up Guinness to see how many Instagram handles, for example, there are reviewing pints of Guinness all over the world.
Right.
It's so what we find is really interesting is beautiful pints of Guinness travel really fast around the world. Poor pints of Guinness travel even faster. So so that's why all of our focus is on quality, is on that consumer experience to make sure that people get with a zero the same experience they get with a draft, whether it's a can or a keg.
Right. Awesome.
And last question. So a lot of people say that Guinness Zero is the best NA, and I agree with them. I think
So
it's one
so
of
do
the
we.
best. That would be weird if you didn't. Have sales been in line with what you all have expected? I guess this question is probably for both of you, because
Well, I'll talk about globally, and I would
yeah.
say sales have not been where we expected. Sales have massively overachieved what we initially expected. So I mentioned at the start of the call in terms of the growth of Guinness Zero, we've had to expand the capacity of our zero plant a number of times since we launched. So not only we were expecting the zero alcohol category to grow as the zero alcohol category is growing and Guinness Zero to grow along with that, we did not anticipate the demand and the love for Guinness Zero that we've got. We thought we we thought it would be one occasion it would be of a group coming in might order 10 pints, want to be a zero. People come in and order 10 pints for the group and there might be four zeros. It is so the demand globally for Guinness, Guinness Zero, I should say, has been huge from day one. And as people's reaction to it, people like can't believe, as you said, can't believe how good it tastes. Like this is, and and it's because we're giving people the Guinness experience with a zero alc. So I think we're only expecting that. We're investing again in the plant this year. We announced that earlier in the year. We're investing again. We'll be expanding capacity again next year to be able to produce more and keep up with demand. We are just about keeping up with demand at the moment for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can in terms of the US, and I think Steve knows this, we'll take as much zero as we can get. I mean, it has been growing exponentially. If you look around at our distributors, they're incredibly excited about it because they can't keep it in stock. And I mean that in a positive way. As soon as we get the beer in, it's bound for someone who has ordered it because it is flying right now. And it's a great thing. The non-alc market in places like the UK and Ireland is a little bit different. It's a little bit more mature, I would say. Non-alc has been a more natural part of the conversation for a bit longer, but it is growing like crazy in the US. And we're excited about it. I mean, we're getting it in as many locations as possible, on premise, off premise. Anywhere where Guinness Draft Stout is served, Guinness Zero is finding a home right next to it. So it's been exciting to see that growth, and I don't see it slowing down. I agree with Steve.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Steve and Ryan. Can you share social media handles? Not that anybody should have trouble finding Guinness online, but please do share your social media handles so people can see beautiful pours.
Yeah, Steve, what is if you want to share your personal one in case people want to hammer you with questions about Guinness quality?
I'm not sure what. Yeah, my one is a combination of me, my nickname, and the year Guinness was founded. So mine is Stevie G, 1759, STEVIEG, 1759.
Yep. For me, it's RWAGS, RWAGS 614. And then Guinness's handles, there is at Guinness. Just remember two N's and two S's. We see a lot of people spelling it Guinness with
Yeah.
just the one N. So make sure you get both in there. We also have a US based account that is Guinness US. And then you can follow our breweries, which are Guinness Brewery Chicago and Guinness Brewery Baltimore.
You remember Guinness has two N's and two S's because you always want more Guinness, right? Awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you, Steve and Ryan. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank
cheers.
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for
Yes,
having
this
us.
was great. So, Em, how did you enjoy that?
It's so fascinating. Like I like larger, I mean, a larger brewery setting is more engineering and food science.
Yes.
And I think that's really, really cool. Like I also like the line cleaning, the fact that like it doesn't have booze in it. So you really have to be I find NA is almost like there's so much like almost like a ticking time bomb. If you don't know how to take care of it, like and
Yeah.
please listen to our NA episode with Keith Villa, like when we talk to him, like it's wild.
Yes.
Like there's so many things you need to do to
I,
protect, and I mean no I know Guinness is doing it right because I mean they're very thoughtful about quality, and you can tell.
yeah, I do think, you know how, the nitro and the widget, and then that kind of, of course, Left Hand has their nitro beers and
Hmm.
everything. So that I wonder if what Guinness is doing in innovation in line cleaning for their Guinness Zero, I wonder if some of that will translate over into
Oh,
other craft beer. Look, technology always starts super expensive and then gets,
yes.
cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So maybe at some point that,
I
and not just in non-alc, like what if all beer line cleaning gets better and more efficient
I mean
because of some of these, right?
that would be phenomenal because dang, y'all got to know how to clean your lines.
Yes, yes. Let you and I can get up on our soapboxes and talk about
Yes,
line cleaning.
yes, yes, we could. There's an episode about line cleaning. Listen to
Yes,
the
there is.
episode.
I forgot that we did that one too. Oh,
Yeah,
we are so top. We cover everything. This is
we
such a
really
great
the all
podcast.
about. Well, it's called All About Beer, Don.
Yes, yes. We've done 69 episodes. I mean, we've
Oh my
covered
gosh.
everything now. Everybody,
No, there's many more episodes
yes,
left.
at
Of
least
course.
five, 600 more, at least. Everybody, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you're feeling generous, so that we can produce those remaining 500 episode ideas that we have, please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. If you have questions for the experts, or if you have ideas for this show so that we can do 501 more episodes, please email us podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's also the email for feedback, suggestions, or to inquire about supporting this show through advertising. Em, how can people reach out to you?
I am at Pints and Panels on across most social media, and my website is www.pintsandpanels.com. What about you, Don?
I am at the Dawn of Beer on X, Threads, and Instagram, and people can drop me an email at don@thedawnofbeer.com. There's a reason podcasts always ask listeners to subscribe and like the show. Please do that for us. That helps the algorithms show our podcast higher on the list when people search for beer podcasts. Please rate and subscribe to our podcast. Please help us spread the word of good beer. And here's a word from our sponsor.
Ariana, Callista, Tradition, Mule Melon, Select. RahrBSG sources these German hop varieties and more directly from German growers through their cooperative organization, HVG. Founded in 1953, HVG has grown to be one of the most important hop suppliers worldwide. In addition to supplying a large part of the German hop crop to brewers worldwide, HVG also processes hops into pellets, extract, and other hop products. Where would beer be without HVG? For the best selection, contact RahrBSG.
This program is brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, where trailblazing runs in the family. From crafting a movement with their iconic pale ale to taking the IPA haze craze nationwide with Hazy Little Thing, it's an adventurous spirit you can taste in every sip. Find your next favorite beer wherever fine beverages are sold. With new brews for every season, there's always something to discover. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Still family-owned, operated, and argued over.
This show is produced by All About Beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com for articles, notes on this show and others, and to connect via the newsletter and social media. Cheers!
Cheers, everyone.